Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
Now I request Dr. Shiv Kumar, Chairperson, Department of Library and Information Science, Panjab University, to welcome the resource person from Department of Geology, Panjab University.
Very good morning to you all. I welcome Professor Rajeev Patnaik, Department of Geology, Panjab, Chandigarh. He is the speaker of today's talk. This webinar is being organized in collaboration with the Department of Geology. I also welcome all faculty members from Geology Department. My colleagues, Professor Preeti Mahajan, Professor Rupak Chakravarti, Dr. Khushpreet Singh Brar are welcome. I welcome research scholars, students, library professionals, and all other participants to this webinar. The topic of today's webinar is Chandigarh 3 million years ago. I think it is very interesting topic. I hope you all will enjoy this talk. Without taking much time, that's all from my side. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now I request Professor Rupak Chakravarti, coordinator of today's webinar, to introduce the resource person and theme of the webinar.
Thank you, Simran. It is indeed a pleasant occasion to introduce the eminent resource person, Professor Rajeev Patnaik. He is faculty member at the Department of Geology, Panjab University, and engaged in the Center of Advanced Study, CAS. He did his BSc, MSc, PhD all from Panjab University. His research interest and research areas include vertebrate evolution and paleoecology, geological context of primate-human evolution, and the impact of climate change on evolution, which is very, very significant. It has become. He has earned so many awards and fellowships. Some of them include elected fellow for the Indian Academy of Science, Bangalore, National Geoscience Award of Ministry of Mines, Government of India, by the Honorable President of India, awarded Pools Scientistship Senior Associate by CSIR, awarded CIES Fellowship Paris to visit France, awarded BAAD DAT Fellowship Bonn to visit Germany, awarded Dr. Aman Bose Prize for securing highest marks in paleontology in BSc, awarded National Merit Scholarship UGC during BSc. He has served as the keynote speaker and delivered so many invited talks in the academic events, some of which include on several occasions he has been the mentor DST, Department of Science and Technology Inspire Camp, Geological Survey of India, University of Duisburg, Germany, Wadia Institute of Himalayan Geology, Dehradun, Asiatic Society of India, Kolkata, Primate Research Center, Kyoto University, Japan, EPTRI, Hyderabad, Institute of Vertebrate Paleontology and Paleoanthropology, Beijing, specially invited by the Secretary DST to give a talk at the Indian Science Congress, Shillong, invited by the Department of Geology and Geophysics, University of Utah, USA, to attend a workshop and carry out a joint research project there. Invited by the Department of Human Evolution, University of Leipzig, Germany, to carry out collaborative research. Invited talk on paleoanthropology in India, Stony Brook University, New York. Research grant by the Werner Gren Foundation, USA. 2006, 2003, 2002, 1996, 1994, awarded Young Scientist Project by the Department of Science and Technology, India. Invited talk at the Out of Africa conference held at Stony Brook, New York, USA. Invited by Primate Research Institute, Kyoto, to present paper. Awarded National Geographic Society Invitation Research Grant, Individual Research Grant. Invited by the Australian Research Council to present a paper in a conference at Perth, Australia. Invited by Nihon University Department of Dentistry, Tokyo, Japan, to present paper. Invited by Duke University, USA, to carry out field work in the Fayum Basin, Egypt. He has received so many research grants which were sponsored by, some of them I will mention: NSF, MHRD, IDC, SERV, Leakey Foundation, USA, DST, DAD, Ministry of Earth Science, Department of Science and Technology, first grant to Panjab University, Venerden Foundation, USA, Leakey Foundation, USA. In fact, many of these grants and achievements have been repeated. They were on several occasions. Then National Geographic Society USA, Department of Science and Technology Fast Track Scheme, Council, and then CSIF. He has also served as editorial boards and associate editors in several journals, including some journals of Elsevier. Currently, he is also serving as the associate editor of Journal Geological Society of India, Spice Springer, editorial board of Current Science, then associate editor in the Journal of Earth System Science, Springer. And he is the member of several professional bodies, including he was elected fellow of the Geological Society of India in the year 1996, elected executive member of the Electron Microscopy Society of India in the year 2000, member Paleoanthropology Society USA, International Primatological Society Japan, member Paleontological Society of India. He has published almost around 150 publications, including more than 100 research papers, full text. He has also contributed in the form of short research papers, scientific reviews, articles published in seminars, symposia, conference volumes, etc., etc., and contributed 14 book chapters, authored books, edited books. So many achievements I could see in his CV. Very prolific and eminent scholar. Today, Professor Patnaik will be speaking on Chandigarh 3 million years ago. And I'm not in a position to introduce the theme or topic because it's a time travel. It is very, very interesting. We are very, very eagerly waiting for the resource person, Professor Patnaik, to deliver this very, very engaging talk. And we are really eagerly waiting for this. How Chandigarh was 3 million years ago. So that's all. Thank you so very much.
Sir, I take 1 minute, 1 second.
Go ahead, go ahead.
Okay, I welcome Professor Asu Khosla. He has joined. And I welcome other faculty members from the Department of Geology. So, Dr. Mesh Thakur and others. So now you can proceed, sir.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Shiv Kumar and Dr. Chakravarti for the nice introduction. And I thank all my colleagues, my students who have spared their time to join this talk. And it really gives me immense pleasure to be here. And I hope I'll be able to make this talk enjoyable. So as Dr. Shiv Kumar had mentioned, that this very topic is very close to my heart. In fact, what you see on your screen is a painting I made sometime when I was in the MSc, and it is a watercolor painting, and it is it's kind of a imaginative thing, because I used to visit the museum of my department very often, and I could see a variety of fossils there. So I sort of imagined that millions of years back, Chandigarh would have looked something like this. Well, gradually I gathered more passion, and then I took up PhD, and I started learning about all these fossils and how they are preserved, and what kind of research we can do to understand the past ecology and climatic condition. So basically, the what I'm going to talk about is where these fossils are unearthed, like where in the vicinity of Chandigarh you would find these organic remains, and how do we know about their age? and where these fossils have come from, where these animals or plants have come from, whether they have originated on this land, or were they migrate did they migrate from somewhere else, and what kind of food they used to eat, and what kind of ecological condition they used to live. So I would be dwelling all these topics as we move on. So as you can see, Chandigarh is located right at the Himalayan foothill, and and just north of Chandigarh, you have these mighty Himalayas, the fascinating Himalayas. So uh, the the Himalayas are arranged in a way, uh, going from northwest to northeast, and they form sort of an arc here. Now there is a reason for this arc, because of this landmass. Our subcontinent is moving north and northeastwards. It is sort of creating sort of a the rupture, and this, because of this, the Himalayas have come up. So where this is a further zoomed figure of Chandigarh and surrounding areas. Now you see Chandigarh, the city Chandigarh out here. Just north of it, we have these foothills, and these are basically Shivaliks. Shivaliks, I must tell you, the name comes from small hillocks near Haridwar. So Britishers named these Himalayan foothills as Shivaliks because they were best exposed near Haridwar. But you would be able to see these small hillocks all along the Himalayan foothill, right from in the west of Lahore, and up to the northeast. So when you look at the topography, you see that there is a sudden change in the elevation. You would okay. This is a 3D kind of a model which shows that these drainages, they come out from the foothills, and right, this is our township here, and that's the Ghaggar River, which flows east of Chandigarh, and all these foothills are the places where we basically search for fossils, and a lot of fossils have come from all these sites. This as we move further north, you will find a valley sort of thing where Badi is situated right here, and then followed by the further sub Himalayan mountain ranges, where you have the Kasolis and lesser Himalayan ranges like the Subatu, Dakshai. All these areas are very close by. Now, over the years, the whole thing has sort of crumpled, squeezed. So what has happened that, let me show you. All right. So what has happened, that this landmass has been moving at a slow speed, somewhat around 5 centimeter per year, and there is this crack I was talking about, that this goes all along the Himalayan foothills. So this very crack is basically responsible for all the earthquakes. So my colleagues, they work on this very crack to figure out how often earthquakes come, and over how many thousands and millions of years such things are happening. But for a paleontologist, this very fracture, or this very crack that has uplifted these rocks are now exposed, and they sort of represent kind of a basin, like the basin Indo-Gangetic plain where we live in. Very similar basin was there in the north of this very area, or the south of the Himalayan foothills. So these basins have got uplifted. That is why we see such mountain ranges. So if you look at a broader picture, our subcontinent is just below our subcontinent. This very slab goes down, and this slab, because it goes down and this very slab is being pushed, these mountain ranges are formed. So let me take you to our museum, the geology museum we have, and you'll see a variety of fossils. What you see on your screen, there is this tusk, though fragmented, but a tusk of an elephant, an ancestral elephant. And then you have a carapace, the outer covering of a tortoise. So this is a jaw of an elephant. So there were many sorts of animals that used to live here, very close to Chandigarh. In fact, if you just 2 to 3 kilometers north of Chandigarh, you'll find you start finding fossils. So this is a very small village called Masol, very close to Chandigarh, which is sort of yielded a variety of fossils and very famous for stone tools and fossils. So a lot of people come here to study them. And recently a French expedition also visited this place, and they also carried out research. So overall, when you look at these are basically badlands. So we go searching for these badlands, and you see these sediments, or you can say clay or soil. These are nothing but ancient soils. We often call them paleo soils. So these ancient soils, which used to be part of the ancient or proto-Indo-Gangetic basin, now they have got uplifted, and now we can see them very close to Chandigarh. So more about our museum. We have a variety of fossils, as I was just mentioning. You can just identify this a buffalo skull, and again, this has come from very close Masol itself. So there are rhino, there is a variety of them. I'll come to those all these fossils. We also have found a baboon teeth from very close by. And as I was mentioning, the turtle. So there used to be these huge tortoises. These were land tortoises, and they used to roam around in this very area. And how do we know how old these rocks are, or how old these fossils are? You see, we have various methods to find out the age. Now, there is a method called paleomagnetism. That depends upon Earth's magnetic reversals. So, just to give you an idea that we know when our Earth's magnetic field has been reversing. So, based on this very phenomena, we are able to tie those sites, fossil yielding sites, to these very dated sites. So that is why we can say that rocks that are very close, situated very close or exposed very close to Chandigarh, are almost 3 million years old. So just to give you an idea, this very term is Patiali Rao, is a small stream which flows very just next to Chandigarh. So along Patiali Rao, people have been able to study the rocks, the sediments, and they have been able to find out that Patiali Rao, along the Patiali Rao, there are rocks that are almost 700,000 years to over 2.6 million years. So almost going back to 3 million years. Likewise, Ghagar rocks or sediments have also been dated. So all these close by areas, all rocks have been dated. And in geology, we sort of um, create some groups. So the rocks of shivaliks have been divided into various formations. So just to tell you that these are basically a bunch of rocks going back in time. And wherever you find these rocks better exposed, they have been named after those, like Pinjor. Pinjor is a group of rocks which range from around 500,000 to 2.6 million years, and they are best exposed around Pinjor town. Likewise, Tatrot is a small township in Pakistan. Dhok Nagri, all these are small townships, and based on rocks exposed there, these formations have been named. So let me take you much further back in time, because unless we understand how 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 the earth moves, how these plates move, how this landmass moves, we won't be able to appreciate that the dispersal of fauna or flora, because that is key to our understanding. Now, if you go back in time millions of years, almost 200 million years, so you'll see that India was part of the Gondwana land. It was attached to Australia, Antarctica, Madagascar, South Africa. That was a landmass. Gradually, it broke away and shifted northwards. And when you see some 65 million years ago, India was sort of an island, not exactly, but it was kind of an island, isolated, and it was still moving towards north. Why I'm saying so? Because it has bearing on our Shivalik fauna. So as India went on moving towards north, uh, it started squeezing in this very ocean in between Asia and India. That was called Tethys. Tethys was a huge ocean. So that went on becoming narrower and narrower. So uh, as I've mentioned, that our where we though we do not realize, but right now our land where we are sitting or standing is moving very slowly, though 5 centimeter, almost 5.5 centimeter per year. We have in fact installed GPS in our department, so that gives us a very precise idea about the direction and the velocity. So it is not based on any imagination, but we have a good database, quantified database to prove this. So at present, India is here, and Chandigarh is almost at 31 latitude. But as we go back in time, you'll see that India was elsewhere. So India has passed through several latitudinal time zones, and and also from through various climatic zones. So that has resulted in faunal diversity on this very land. Now, interestingly, when you see this very image shows that India was very closing in just going to strike, just going to collide with Asia, and there were these small islands. And interestingly, these islands here itself, there were animals like whale. They originated and evolved. So we do find fossils of whales not very far from Chandigarh. If you just 15-20 kilometers across, if you go north of Chandigarh, you'll find there is a possibility of finding fossil whales, and people have found fossil whales and sharks. And so the moment India collided, there was a dispersal between Asia and India. So lot of fauna came in, some fauna flora went out. So this is how we sort of calculate, or we figure out that what kind of faunal dispersal had happened over last millions of years. So just to give you a brief idea that early whales were not like the ones you see at the bottom. They were land mammals, very much land mammals. They would just venture into nearby ocean once in a while, but they had four legs and they were totally land mammals. And this we have proof based on fossils, and not and again there is a place called Garkhal close to Subatu that has yielded such fossils. Some reconstruction of ancient whales that used to live in the close to our landmass. Beside whales, we find other fossils like plant fossils. If you happen to go to Kasoli, Kasoli is made up of a lot of rocks that were deposited by rivers, not by ocean. So when ocean receded, when Tethys receded, the place was taken over by rivers. So river used to fall into this very basin, and we do find from marine whales and sharks to we start finding terrestrial animals and plants. So how do we know who were the original habitant of the landmass of Indian subcontinent, who came from other places? See, we have basically the mammals, the animals that feed their juveniles with milk, and they have hair. Mammals are basically divided into Lauraceatheres and Afrotheres. Lauraceatheres, the ones who had their origin in Asia and Europe, and Afrotheres who had their origin in Africa. Now, mind it, just let me go back a little bit. Yeah, so Africa was also an island. India was an island. Africa was also isolated. So African collision of Africa with Europe resulted in a lot of dispersal. So we have elephants in India, but you would be surprised that elephants in fact originated in Africa. So they were there in Africa since the beginning, but they could not reach the subcontinent because there was ocean in between, there was Tethys in between. So after India collided with Asia, after a while, around 20 odd million years ago, Africa collides with Europe, Eurasia, and that gave rise to a formation of a land bridge that allowed the fauna and flora of India to move into Africa, and on the other side, African fauna and flora to move towards Europe and India. The migration can happen only if the ecological conditions are conducive. So that means the Sahara we see today wasn't there. So the whole area was kind of a forest or grassland. So who were the ones who could move into Africa? The rats, the bovids like the cow, tiger, rhino. These animals are actual inhabitant of Laurasia. So they got an opportunity to move into Africa, and aardvarks and elephants, they 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 came out of Africa and started occupying Europe and Asia, and finally they reach North America by the Bering Strait. So uh, again, a little bit more picturesque, where you can see uh, who were the ones who would come at what point of time. So first apes and elephants, they came in, followed by hippos, and then followed by other monkeys, and some came from America, like the rabbits, the horses, and the camels. So dispersals happened, and we do find these fossils all along the Himalayan foothills, very close to where we live in. And this diagram shows about the dispersal of apes. So you would be surprised that right here where we live, uh, uh, there was a time when a variety of apes used to live, because it was a rainforest. So millions of years back, there were rainforests here, and a variety of apes lived. So if you happen to visit places in the Himachal areas, or Jammu and Kashmir, you'll find the ancestral stocks of these apes. But something happened that changed everything, because climate changed, and that happened because of the collision and elevation of Tibetan plateau. That changed everything, and aridity sets in, and you would see forest, shrinking of forest, and the forest were taken over by the grasslands. So I'll show you some more African animals that shifted from Africa and to India, and this is another African origin animal that came from Africa. Hippos, ancestral hippos. You'll find a lot of fossils in our museum. These are the fossils of uh, ancestral hippos, and other mammals who look very similar to hippos, but they were a little bit smaller in size. Elephants, more elephants, a variety of elephants that migrated, and that these such things happened again and again. Whenever there was a connection, wherever there was ecological continuity, mammals kept on, not only mammals, other animals also, I'll come to that, kept on migrating in both the directions. There was this giraffe, mighty giraffe, called Shivatherium, and you can see it had short neck and horns, amazing horns. There is a painting of Shivatherium here, and camels. So you don't see camels today here, but camels were here millions of years ago, right? 2 to 3 million years ago. Beside mammals, there were birds. So we have been able to find a lot of bird fossils. These are basically bird bones, and bird bones are good enough for us to identify what kind of birds were there. So there were pelicans here, 2.5 to almost 3 million years ago. Pelicans have been found by us in the field, and there were these all sorts of water birds. This is called water bird, Enhinga, and they just dive to catch fishes. So they were there, but interestingly, the birds were very different from what the kind of birds we have today here. I'll come to those. So we can, based on the bones, we can differentiate them whether these birds had similarity with the present day pelicans or present day water birds, or whether they were extinct. They are now extinct. So there is this bone we found that is 3 million years old, and you can see this is a part of a limb bone, and it is of a stalk. So I don't know why it's not moving. Okay, so stalk bone has been found, and other birds, and also we have found a lot of fishes. Of course, stock and these water birds would have fed on fishes, and we have variety of fishes in the Shivaliks. Just 2 kilometers, 3 kilometers north of Chandigarh, east of Chandigarh, you'll find a lot of fish remains in the rocks. So what we have been able to figure out that the water birds we see in the Shivaliks are not actually related to the water birds we have today. So there was almost 3 million years ago, there was kind of wetlands here where water birds live, but they most likely came from Africa, because their phylogeny, their linkage tells us that they were basically of African origin. So just to give you an idea, how do we reconstruct ecology and diet based on the scratches animals leave on their tooth? Like whatever we eat, it leaves some evidence of that food. So if somebody is eating grass all the time, the tooth would have a lot of scratches. And there are other ways also. We analyze chemically. Also, the tooth enamel can tell us whether the animal used to eat C3 plants, trees and shrubs, or grasses. And also, if you see horse teeth are very high crowned, very large, long, and that means that they are basically grazers. That over a period of time they have been grazing. They have evolved from browsing. Early horses were browsers. They had low crown teeth, but as time moved, as forests were replaced by grasslands, horse evolved their teeth into very high crowned teeth that were meant for grazing. All this information is gathered slowly, and we measure these teeth, and then come up with our hypothesis that, well, these were grazers or these were browsers. If you find many grazers in a landscape, that means that was a grassland. If you find most of the mammals had smaller crown, sharp teeth, that means there was a forest. So there is a good correlation between high crown as well as precipitation. So if you have a lot of precipitation, that means you will have forest, and you will have low crowned animals living there. So this is some experiments we did on very old fossils, and we could differentiate between a fruit eater and a grass or bamboo eater. And as I told you, we just do some quantified studies, and these images can give you an idea that if an animal is a browser, its tooth surface would look like something like this. If an animal is a grazer, its tooth surface would look something like this with a lot of scratches. You can do this experiment with a present day Today also one can do this experiment. One can feed a goat all the time for maybe couple of weeks, only leaves, and you can take the impression of the tooth impression, like dentists do take impressions of our teeth for various purposes. We can also one can take impression and then figure out what kind of structure texture it shows. So one can use present day mammals to understand past mammal diet. Also, if you happen to find a lot of fossils like we find them in kasolis, we can compare them. So what you see the green ones are the present day forms, and on your right hand side you have the fossils. So if you compare the present day fossils, and if you know that these present day forms are very similar to the fossil forms, you can make a guess that these the time was that during those time there was this rainforest or deciduous forest. So we have been able to mm, uh, build a kind of a ecological setup of the Shivalik, which are exposed all along the Himalayan foothill, very close to Chandigarh as well as other places. All sorts of animals used to live here, and mm, they changed their diet over a period of millions of years because of climate change, which influenced the ecological change. Let me take up one last topic, very interesting one, is that people claim to have found evidence of early humans in the Shival, very close to Chandigarh. And as I was just mentioning, they have been able to find cut marks and stone tools. And they claim that early humans were there here almost 2.5 million years ago. Though it is very highly debated, but they did find some nice cut marks or scratches. Now there are school of thoughts that these might have been formed by other by some animals, not by humans, or by using some stone tools. Anyway, it's a highly debated topic, but there is a possibility. It is not totally impossible to find. So you have more stone tools here. Sonian stone tools are found. You just go to this place, Masol, you'll find a lot of stone tools. So humans were there, but whether they were here 2.5 million years ago, that is not proven. But stone tools are here. Stone tools have been found in rocks that are at the maximum 50,000 at the maximum, yes, 50,000 years old rocks, not older than that. And we have also found bones with other evidence of gnawing by rodents. So such studies are being done. So finally, we need to preserve this wonderful heritage of ours. And Geological Survey of India, and we in the Department of Geology, also Chandigarh Government Museum has provided us place for preserving the heritage. So models have been made, and fossils are exhibited there in our museum, as well as Saketi Fossil Park, as well as in the Chandigarh Museum. So if you ever happen to go to visit these places, you will be able to see. That's a nice model of tortoise. So finally, I'll conclude saying that Shivaliks and Lesser Himalayan deposits in the vicinity of Chandigarh, there are these rocks, these sediments offer a wonderful fossil heritage, and also these are wonderful sites, excellent sites for archaeological studies. and we should make all of the efforts to protect these sites, and so that we can make some world-class museums in the future for our future generation. Thank you so much for listening. Now I can take questions.
Thank you, sir. It was really a novel and yet exciting experience for all of us to know about such amazing things about Chandigarh, and thank you for enlightening all of us with such valuable information on paleontology and its related aspects. Uh, Sir, there are no questions as such in the chat box from the participants. If anyone uh, yes, any questions from participants? Professor Rupak Chakravarti, sir.
Rajeev ji, it was indeed a very, very fascinating presentation, and it was like a journey towards past millions of years ago. I have like one query, like we were discussing that there were migration and dispersal due to collision and drifting of the subcontinent towards north, and even South Africa was a continent, and the islands were there, and mammals and birds and fishes, they actually shifted their geographical areas, maybe because of survival of the fittest, and maybe that was struggle for existence might be the factor, or more conducive environment. My question is like, it's a query like whether this 5.5 centimeter per year drifting, which we are measuring through GPS, is still going on, then what can we predict about the future flora and fauna? Like whether this trend will continue, or world over, whether this is a global phenomenon that the living species are moving from one place to other, and they are staying there, not migratory birds, but they are making their permanent resident. And in future, what will the trend?
Yeah, you see, plate tectonic movements, these tectonic movements are very slow, no doubt. So it will take millions of years for making any effective sort of change on the ecology of a particular area. Now, climate change that is happening at a very fast rate. See, tectonics happen very slow, but what is happening these days is climate change, which is making things change very fast. In fact, lot many animals, particularly insects, which thrive on vegetation, they are getting extinct very fast. So tectonics, of course, would lead to overall climate change, but at the moment, in the next maybe 100, 200, or maybe 1,000 years, the kind of climate change we are experiencing is going to make a big change in the biota. So like a little global warming would cause melting of ice, and melting of ice would raise the sea level. And you see, even 10-meter rise in the sea level would drown several low-lying areas. So those low-lying areas will be gone. I mean, the islands, small places like even Bangladesh would, I think, get drowned if even a few degree if there is a change in temperature by few degrees. So tectonics do make a lot of difference, but it is slow. And if there is no migration, if they just stay put, the ecology would get affected. And ecology, as the ecology changes, definitely the animals and plants have to adapt to newer ecological conditions. I hope
Thank
I've
you.
been able to
Thank you,
answer
sir,
your.
for answering in detail. Thank you, sir.
Welcome.
Any other question from participants?
Sir,
Yes.
Yes, Vishal.
sir, my name is Vaishali Kumar.
Yeah.
Sir, I would want to know that what exactly was the time that when human intervention was there. So because
Yeah. You see, humans intervention in the last maybe couple of hundred of years, we have been producing all these what you call chlorofluorocarbon. I would say a lot of carbon dioxide. Industrial revolution has changed dramatically. If you look at the temperature rise in the last maybe less than 100 years, when industrial revolution took place, there is a steep rise in the global temperature. So prehistorical prehistoric humans did not do any harm to the ecology, but we humans, we are doing.
sir, sir,
Yeah.
I would want to know that there were some weapons that were used by humans only, as animals couldn't produce any weapon.
Yeah.
They have their inbuilt weapon, that is their teeth or their paws.
Hmm.
So there were those weapons that were used by humans only, and they were produced in the later stages.
Yeah, it has happened just in the last 50 odd years. Such mass destruction or large scale weapons that have been used by humans to destroy the ecology. So like you see, if you the Hiroshima bomb changed the atmospheric carbon dioxide significantly. Likewise, the industrial revolution in the late 18th centuries, the early 19th century, has changed the atmospheric carbon dioxide significantly.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome.
So there's one question from another participant. Can melting ice also increase the diseases?
Well, see, diseases, yes, in a way, there are certain viruses or bacteria that grow in the warmer conditions. So, if an area is devoid of certain ice caps, so those microorganisms would come in, occupy those areas. So of course, climate and temperature does affect the microorganisms. So you might know that during the colder time we do not get malaria, because they do not thrive, particularly in the northern region. But if you go down south, where the conditions warmer, there certain microorganisms, they thrive very well. So diseases, of course, but melting of ice is kind of a consequence of global warming.
Okay, thank you, sir. Aarti Sharma. She has raised her hand. Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir, for this webinar. I know this was considered to be a Chandigarh topic, but I have a question regarding the peninsular area
Yeah.
of India. Like the Western Ghats and the Eastern Ghats are taller, but the regions near the seas, like Arabian Sea and Bay of Bengal, they don't have a boundary, or they are just submerging. What is the reason for this?
Could you please repeat? You said taller.
The ghats
Western.
and the hills. Yes. they are like the hills are inside the peninsular region.
Hmm.
But
Why they are there?
yes, sir. Because the yes, sir.
Yeah, because you see, the peninsula India is made up of very hard, tough rocks, mostly of Precambrian age. So you have these metamorphic rocks, igneous rocks, which are called like the Dharwads, the Vindhyans. So they are pretty tough in the sense. So the rivers that flow across these rocks, they do make valleys, but you still find these cliffs of these rocks made up of very tough terrain. Was I able to answer? I'm not sure.
Sir, I was asking that why the area near the seas like Bay of Bengal or Arabian Sea, they are not taller. Like the ghats which are near that region, they are taller. Western Ghats and
Okay, so yeah, you mean height-wise, cliffs? Why there are cliffs there?
yes, sir.
Again, the answer is the same. If you have hillocks, like on the Western Ghat, you have these Deccan traps as well as these Precambrian rocks that are pretty tough, resistant. So they are not easily eroded. And if you go to Bay of Bengal, there is hardly any hillocks I could see. So you will find mostly along see Bangladesh or even Calcutta. These in these areas there are no hillocks as such, so you won't find cliffs there.
Okay, sir. So these hills are also a result of tectonic collisions between the plates, like the Himalayan ones. Or they,
Yes, the Precambrian rocks are also because of tectonics, but those tectonic activities had happened millions of years back. Himalaya is a very young mountain. It has come up just 55 odd million years ago. But the Dharwads, the Vindhyans, they represent different sort of mountain building phenomena, which happened millions of years ago, billions of years ago, sometime.
yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Welcome.
Now I request Professor Asu Khosla to say something. Professor Asu Khosla, sir, I think he is not able to listen.
Microphone is muted, I think.
Okay. Okay, Simran, now we present vote of thanks.
Yes, sir. I request Dr. Shiv Kumar, chairperson. So please present a vote of thanks. Thank you.
So it is a privilege for me to propose a vote of thanks on this occasion. On behalf of the Department of Library and Information Science as well as Department of Geology, I extend my sincere gratitude to Professor Rajeev Patnaik for accepting our invitation to deliver a talk. Sir, your talk was very relevant, very interesting. All are engaged, all are enlightened. They are listening carefully. Through your talk, we could know about how Chandigarh was 3 million years ago, or what was the surrounding condition around what was the surrounding condition around Chandigarh, or how Chandigarh evolved. So you talk about the condition between India and Asia. There was a sea. So due to some you can say tectonic activity, now this is now mountain Shivalik hills. I am hopeful that participants have been enlightened by this talk. I also thank Panjab University authorities, especially worthy Vice Chancellor Professor Rajkumar ji, for allowing us to organize this webinar. I also thank all participants for being with us. My thanks also goes to faculty, research scholar, students of both departments for their unending support. So thank you very much. This is a different kind of experience, though the two departments are together. I enter this university through geology department. I have done my MSc in geology. So many a time I feel nostalgic. So I have a different kind of memory, different kind of association with geology department. So I was happy when I met chairperson of geology department. Then I took proposal about this talk. He was very willingly agreed to this talk. Then I met Professor Rajeev Patnaik. Sir, you give this talk. So, sir, thank you very much for this nice talk. Or we could know about how Chandigarh was 3 million years ago. Now, Simran, one photograph you can take. All
Yes.
participants are requested to on your cameras. All participants are requested on your cameras.
आरती आप भी कैमरा ऑन कर लो.
Okay. Smile. Done. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all for this opportunity.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Great experience.